With the introduction of the original Pokemon types in Generation 1, the later addition of Dark and Steel in Generation 2, and the addition of the Fairy type in Generation 6, we now have 18 total types in the games. Since Pokemon can of course have dual types, the typing combinations are nearly endless and provide for some really cool combinations. While we know that there are still many dual typings that have not yet been used at all, there are also some type combinations that are unique to a certain Pokemon or its evolutionary line. In total, if you include Alolan forms and Mega Evolutions, there are 53 fully evolved Pokemon that have a type combination that no others have, making them quite special indeed. Today, I thought we'd take a look at these Pokemon and count down the top 10 best unique type combinations in the entire game. Instead of looking at the best Pokemon that have unique typing combinations and basing it off of their base stats and whatnot, I thought we'd approach it in a more creative way and look at which of these Pokemon have the best unique typings for battle. Like Hawlucha here, which is today's honorable mention and just missed making the list. To determine the top 10, I looked at factors such as immunities, weaknesses, resistances, their ability to deal with field hazards such as Stealth Rock, and the offensive capabilities of the typings as well. To avoid making things too complicated, basically I gave or took away points for each of the Pokemon based on these positive or negative factors in order to give them an overall typing score. It was one heck of a process, but the results are certainly interesting, so without any further ado, let's find out who made the top 10. Starting the list off is the only fully evolved Poison and Flying type Pokemon, Crobat. Now Crobat is definitely known for its amazing speed, but few people recognize how cool its typing is. Crobat's typing gives it 1 immunity to ground, 3 strong resistances, 2 regular resistances, and 4 weaknesses. Crobat's same type attack bonus or stab moves are super effective against 5 other types, which gives it pretty decent offensive coverage as well. Unfortunately, Crobat is weak to Stealth Rock, however it is immune to both spikes and toxic spikes, so that kinda balances out. Overall, Crobat gets a final score of 5.5 to put it in 10th place. Taking the 9th spot is an immensely powerful mythical Pokemon, Marshadow. Marshadow is the only Pokemon to have the Fighting and Ghost type, which is actually a really cool type combination since Fighting and Ghost are kind of considered to be opposites in the Pokemon lore. Marshadow's typing gives it a complete immunity to Fighting and Normal, and it has 1 strong resistance, 2 regular resistances, and 4 weaknesses. However, it's important to note that Marshadow can actually come back against 2 of those weaknesses, Psychic and Ghost, with super effective Ghost type attacks. Marshadow's stab moves give it 7 total types that it is super effective against offensively. Marshadow is also hit neutrally by all 3 hazard moves. Overall, it gets a typing score of 6.5. Next up, we have another mythical Pokemon, Volcanion, which has the really weird unique typing of Fire and Water. Seriously, you would not expect these types to go together at all. Now, on the face of it, Volcanion has no immunities. However, its only ability is Water Absorb, which technically gives it an immunity to water moves entirely. Aside from that, Volcanion has 3 strong resistances, 2 regular resistances, and 3 weaknesses, although Volcanion's stab water moves can come back against 2 of those, Ground and Rock. Overall, Volcanion's stab moves are super effective against 7 types. Unfortunately, Volcanion is actually weak to both Stealth Rocks and Spikes and is hit by Toxic Spikes neutrally. As such, Volcanion gets a final typing score of 7. Taking the 7th spot is the only Fairy and Flying type Pokemon, Togekiss. I was very happy when the Togepi line ended up getting the Fairy typing since it definitely suits it and actually helps it out in battle quite a bit. Togekiss's typing gives it 2 immunities to very popular types, Dragon and Ground, 2 strong resistances, 2 regular resistances, and 5 weaknesses. Togekiss's stab moves are super effective against 6 other types. Togekiss is weak to Stealth Rock. However, just like Crobat, Togekiss is immune to both Toxic Spikes and Spikes. Overall, Togekiss's final typing score is 7.5. Next up, we have one of my favorite typing combinations in the entire game since I really love both of these types, Ghost and Dragon, held by the one and only Giratina, but more specifically, its origin form. Giratina's typing gives it 2 immunities to fighting and normal, but since Giratina's origin form has the levitate ability, technically you can throw a 3rd immunity to ground in there too. Besides that, Giratina has 6 resistances and 5 weaknesses, although 2 of those weaknesses, Dragon and Ghost, are able to be countered by Giratina's super effective stab moves anyway. In total, Giratina's stab moves are super effective against 3 types. Also, since Giratina origin form has levitate, the only hazard move that affects it is Stealth Rock. Considering all of these factors, Giratina gets a final typing score of 8. At the halfway mark, number 5, we have a really cool Pokemon, Jellicent, with its unique water and ghost typing. Because of its typing, Jellicent gets 2 immunities to fighting and normal, but also an additional immunity to water with its water absorb ability. Jellicent resists 6 types and is weak to 4, although it can of course respond to its ghost weakness with its own super effective stab ghost attacks. Jellicent's stab attacks are super effective against 5 total types, and it is hit by all 3 hazard moves for neutral damage. Jellicent's unique typing gets a solid score of 8.5. Coming in at number 4, we have a very interesting Pokemon, Rotom. Interestingly, Rotom and 3 of its other forms all have unique typings. For the purpose of simplicity, we're going to stick to its original form, although its heat form is certainly on par with it as well. Rotom has 2 immunities to normal and fighting, but with its levitate ability, it also becomes immune to ground, which would have normally been super effective against its electric type. It also has a solid 5 resistances and only 2 weaknesses. Rotom's typing makes its stab moves super effective against 4 types. The only hazard move that affects it is Stealth Rock. All in all, Rotom's solid unique typing gives it a great score of 9.5. At number 3, for the bronze medal, we have the Pokemon Diamond mascot Pokemon Dialga, with its unique Dragon and Steel typing. This typing, combined with Dialga's insane stats, arguably make it one of, if not the most terrifying Pokemon on this list. Dialga's typing gives it an immunity to poison, a strong resistance to grass, and a whopping 8 other resistances, with only 2 weaknesses, to ground and fighting. Unfortunately, Dialga is weak to spikes, but it resists damage from Stealth Rock and is immune to toxic spikes entirely. Dialga's typing even gives it super effective stab moves against 4 other types. Dialga is an absolute monster, not only in terms of unique typings, but in terms of typings in the entire selection of Pokemon, and deserves a score of 10. However, there are still 2 more on this list. The runner-up for this top 10 is none other than Empoleon, with its unique water and steel typing. Out of all the starters, I think it's safe to say that Empoleon has the best overall typing. Water and Steel is immune to poison, strongly resists ice and steel, and has a whopping 8 other resistances just like Dialga, and only has 3 weaknesses, although its stab water type moves counter its ground weakness of course. Empoleon's typing makes it weak to spikes, but it also resists Stealth Rock and is immune to toxic spikes. Empoleon's stab moves are also super effective against 6 other types in total. Empoleon's typing and move pool is so incredible that despite its pretty lackluster base stats, it's still placed in the underused tier in competitive battling. I know I've personally had one heck of a time trying to counter this thing in battle. If you don't have an electric or fighting type move, you're pretty much done for. Empoleon gets a massive final score of 13. And taking the number 1 spot for the best unique typing in all of Pokemon is Aegislash, with its Steel and Ghost typing. Let's just say there is another reason why this thing is in the Uber tier despite not being a legendary or mythical, other than its moveset and ability. Aegislash has 3 immunities to normal, poison, and fighting, the last of which would normally be super effective against its Steel typing. Aegislash also strongly resists Bug and has 8 other resistances. Aegislash does have 4 weaknesses, but it can definitely counter opposing super effective ghost types with its own stab ghost type priority move, Shadow Sneak. Just like Empoleon, Aegislash is weak to spikes, but it resists Stealth Rock and is immune to toxic spikes. Aegislash's typing also provides it with stab super effectiveness against 5 other types. Overall, Aegislash just outdoes Empoleon with a score of 13.5, just 0.5 higher, to claim the best unique typing in the game. Well, there we are everyone, the top 10 unique typings in all of Pokemon. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to smash that thumbs up button and subscribe with notifications on to support the channel and get more weekly content. Don't forget to comment down below letting me know your favorite Pokemon that has a unique typing, and also what new typings you'd like to see in Generation 8. That's all for this video, and I will see you all next Saturday.